This video will look at forming door openings over 1.2 meters wide to 3.3 meters and over 3.3 meters wide to 3.6 meters. For openings over 1.2 meters wide to 3.3 meters, we've pre-formed the door opening with 70mm Gypframe stud framework. The opening is built to heavy and severe duty rating, to BS 5234. The doorway stud is cloaked with 72 DC60, and the head channel is formed out of 72 EDC70. To provide additional strength, we insert 70mm Gypframe stud open face down into the head track. This is then fixed with British Gypsum jack point wafer head screws at 150mm centres to both sides of the head track. Short lengths of metal stud are then inserted into the head of the door openings at specified centres, and they're fixed to the door opening head channel and ceiling channels where there is no deflection head. Where a deflection head applies, the maximum boarding height over door openings is 4.8 meters for single layer boarding and 2.4 meters for double layer boarding. Where boarding heights over openings exceed this, structural steel sections should be used as designed by structural engineers. Note that the same principle applies when forming a sill detail to a window or hatch opening, in the same way the head of the door opening has been formed here. For openings over 3.3 meters to 3.6 meters wide, we've pre-formed the door opening sides with 70mm Gypframe stud framework. The opening has been formed to heavy and severe duty rating BS 5234. To support the head of the opening, we fix short lengths of 70mm stud to the door opening with the British Gypsum wafer head or jack point wafer head screws, depending on the gauge of the Gypframe partition sections being installed. Now we insert 72 EDC70 head channel in place and secure with 2 wafer head screws to both sides of the metal stud and at each side of the opening. The remaining stud at each side of the doorway is cloaked with 72mm deep channel. The head track is built as previously for over 1200mm wide to 3.3 meter wide openings. Also mentioned previously, where a deflection head applies, the maximum boarding height over door openings is 4.8 meters for single layer boarding and 2.4 meters for double layer boarding. Where boarding heights over openings exceed this, structural steel sections should be used as designed by structural engineers. Note that the same principle applies when forming a sill detail to a window or hatch opening, in the same way the head of the door opening has been formed. You should now have the practical knowledge and understanding to form openings greater than 1.2 meters.